It's a new year, and you know what that means. It's time to plan our new travel destinations without breaking the bank. I've compiled what I consider to be some of the absolute best travel destinations to visit on a budget in 2023. And by budget, I mean anywhere between $20 and $50 US per day. Just remember, every destination can be budget friendly if you're committed to getting creative with your travels. And with that, here's my list of the best budget travel destinations to check off your bucket list this year. Depending on what areas of the country you want to explore, Turkey is a great choice for budget travel. Certain experiences here can be really pricey, but if you're committed to planning, Turkey can be done relatively cheaply. If city life is more your speed, you can't miss the capital, Istanbul. I have fond memories of visiting the city when I traveled alone and on a budget. To save money and have a great experience, you can visit the open-air museums, visit Galata Tower, and have a picnic in front of the mosque overlooking the city skyline. Filled with so much rich history and natural phenomenons, one place you have to check out is Cappadocia. Located in the south-central region of the country, Cappadocia is home to some of nature's most unique architecture. You might be tempted to jump on one of the many hot air balloon rides that are popular around Cappadocia, but for about $150, there are better ways to see the views on a budget. For example, you can get up close to the land during a 1-hour horseback riding tour for about $30. You won't have to worry about finding inexpensive foods, as Turkey is home to what I consider some of the best and cheapest foods in the world. If I could go back there right now, I would definitely be filling up with Turkish delights and doner kebabs, which you can't skip if you're going to be visiting the country. When you're ready to travel to Europe this year, Slovenia is a great budget destination option. Besides having walkable cities, there are plenty of places to explore for free while hiking. In the northwest corner of the country, head to Lake Bled, nestled among some of the most stunning mountain ranges in Slovenia. Here, you can hike, relax, and take in views that feel magical. One of Slovenia's gems has to be the Soča Valley. This area draws in so many hikers because of the clear blue rivers and rocky mountain terrain. I'd say don't underestimate this country if you're looking for an outdoor escape. If you're visiting Ljubljana, make sure to pick up a Ljubljana card. This card is your ticket to maxing out the city on a budget. It offers free tours, transportation, bike rentals, and a trip on a funicular. It costs under $40 with 36 and 74-hour card options. Let's just say you won't go hungry on a budget here. Meals vary between $8 and $20, and if you stop at a grocery store, you can expect to pay around $40 for the week. Accommodation is also very cheap in Slovenia. A hostel can cost about $16 a night, while the standard for a hotel is more around the $40 a night range. Vietnam comes in as one of the cheapest countries to visit in Asia, and it's also one of my favorites because of how unbelievably beautiful the landscapes are. There's the limestone islands of Halong Bay, exploring Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, among the other beautiful places to see along the coast. One of the reasons it's such a great country to travel on a budget is because of its transportation. The variety of transportation options, from sleeper buses to trains, is a great place for backpackers looking to explore for less. Although it can get pricey to get to Vietnam from the US, once you're there, you can expect to pay an average of $5 to $10 a night on accommodation, $10 a day on food, and $5 on transportation. By the way, if you're looking for unique ways to finance your travels, then listen up. Many travelers, myself included, know that the key is having your money working for you, even while you're jetting around the world. But this year, most investment strategies have struggled to provide the results we're used to, and that's why I was amazed to learn about something that's hitting record highs. And best of all, I learned how you can possibly use it to your benefit. Well, what is it? Investing in fine art with Masterworks. It's surprising to hear, I know, but huge banks like Morgan Stanley and Bank of America have art investing services. And for the last 3 years, Masterworks has been featured in publications like Forbes for handing back real results to their users using fine art. They file paintings like Picasso's with SEC, splitting them into shares. Masterworks doesn't do crypto or NFTs. These are the real things, worth millions. And all of Masterworks filings are linked in the description at sec.gov. Masterworks just had another sale at the end of last month, handing back a 13.9% net return to their users. That brings them to 9 exits, 4 of them just since September. Those 4 sales returned 13, 17, 21, and 33% net. So it's no wonder that Masterworks paintings have sold out in minutes. But you can get priority access right away by clicking the link in the description. Now, let's jump back into the next destination on our list, Colombia. If you're ready to explore in nature, consider adding Colombia to your budget bucket list. Did you know that it's home to 10% of the world's biodiversity? Especially if you love coffee, you can take a tour of the country's coffee bean region while taking in views of rolling mountains and farmland. One city you absolutely have to see is Cartagena. The entire city is considered a World Heritage Site and it's full of historic architecture. It's also one of the most visited cities in Colombia, making it a great place for backpackers to make some friends and find some cheap eats. For those of you who want to work remote, Medellin has become a hotspot for digital nomads. And of course, you can't go wrong with a visit to the country's capital, Bogota. There you will also fall in love with the city's architecture and charm. If you've got some extra cash on hand and really want to take in what the country has to offer, then I recommend renting a motorcycle. During my last trip to Colombia, I did this and it was an unforgettable experience. I rode all the way up to Guatapé and it was beautiful. Colombia is also fit for just about any budget. For accommodation, you can expect to spend anywhere between $7 and $12 a night, while on food, I'd budget around $8 and transportation roughly $4. If you haven't already heard, Montenegro is becoming more and more popular. From its charming Kotor old town on the coast to the caves in the mountains, it's easy to understand why it's becoming such a must visit for so many tourists. In Montenegro, you can soak up the coastal life in quaint little cities like Budva or enjoy the historical towns scattered throughout the country. The best part is that you can experience this slice of Europe on a backpacker's budget. You should expect to spend about $40 a day on accommodation, $7 on food, and about $5 on transportation. Peru, 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 Peru. Peru, Peru, Peru. Sorry. When you think of Peru, you probably think of Machu Picchu. This wonder of the world can be done on a budget, but so can the rest of the country. There's so much more to see in Peru, and you could easily spend a month or more deeply exploring what most travelers skip. Peru is full of history. There's archaeological sites like the rediscovered city Chan Chan, destinations built in the middle of the sand mountains of Huacachina, and the Nazca lines etched into the desert. There's a lot to see in Peru, but it can be done for cheap. If you want to keep the cost of travel down while traveling in Peru, make sure to eat locally. Peru is full of street food that's inexpensive and delicious. Mexico is a classic destination if you're interested in getting away on a budget. It's such a vast country with rich culture and some of the world's best food. There are beaches with deep blue water, beautiful rolling mountains, and even Mayan ruins. Mexico is such a large country that you'll never run out of places to explore. From cities to outdoor adventures, any budget traveler is bound to have a great experience while traveling here. As for safety, there are plenty of places in Mexico that are very safe to visit. But before you go, make sure you do your own research and check local guidance on the current safety situations in any areas that you may want to explore. As always, one of my biggest pieces of advice for keeping your costs down is to live like locals. That may mean eating way too many street tacos and finding hole-in-the-wall places to use as a way of exploring Mexican culture. Traveling between big cities in Mexico is where things start to become pretty pricey, so I recommend spending as much time in one place as you can to cut down on those kind of costs. And also, I highly recommend avoiding the really touristy areas like Tulum for the best budget prices. The Philippines is made up of over 7,000 islands, which makes it a destination you'll want to visit again and again. To truly soak in the Philippines, I recommend leaving the city behind and exploring the many hidden gems throughout the country. If you're planning on visiting the Philippines on a budget, then make sure to add in some time to relax. I recommend visiting the islands of Palawan or Cebu for a few days to unwind with incredible views. For around $25, you can even book a boat experience to snorkel with whale sharks. As for accommodation, hostels are definitely the cheapest at around $7 a night. Food and transportation are also very budget friendly. For meals, depending on where you go, you can expect to spend about $4 and transportation up to $10 a day. One of the things that makes Laos so unique is that it isn't overrun with tourists. What Laos lacks in tourism, it makes up for in about 70% forest coverage. So if you're looking for another amazing place to explore in nature, a trip to Laos is definitely for you. When you go, don't miss the Quang Si waterfall in Luang Prabang, kayaking on the Mekong River, or exploring the capital city Viet Vang, definitely not pronouncing that one right, when you're ready to return to city life. The best part is that you're not going to have to break the bank to make this trip happen. You can expect to spend around $30 in total for accommodation, food, and transportation per day. So if you've already traveled to Thailand and you're looking for a new adventure, then nearby Laos is a great place to go. And speaking of Thailand, Thailand is on just about the top of everyone's bucket list. Because of its affordability, culture, food, and beauty, it's easy to see why. Chiang Mai and Bangkok have quickly become some of the biggest destinations for digital nomads. It's here that your money will stretch far enough for luxury to become affordable. My biggest recommendations are going island hopping in Phuket, dive into all of the street food, visit unique markets, and explore the ancient temples. As for the daily price, you may have noticed in my last video traveling across Thailand, you can easily keep your daily costs between $20 and $30 a day or less. You may have heard about it, but the rumors are true. Cambodia has it all, and on a budget, you can explore its regions for months. It's totally possible to trek through Cambodia on a total daily budget of $25. Cambodia is home to islands that are beautiful, not highly visited, and cheap. If you're looking for a trip that isn't completely on the beach side, check out the amazing temples in Siem Reap. You can explore these ancient places for about $40 a day. But if you plan on being in that area for a bit, then I recommend getting a 3 to 7 day pass because trust me, you'll want to go back. And of course, you can't miss the world's largest religious complex, Angkor Wat. This stunning temple will leave you wanting to uncover more of this country's mysterious hidden history. I know most people don't associate Greece with budget travel, but I'm here to show you just how possible it can be. Keep in mind that the time of year you plan on traveling to Greece makes a big difference when it comes to price. The summer months are always the most expensive, so stay away from July and August, which also happen to be the hottest. I recommend planning your trip for the spring. That way you can soak up as much of what makes Greece so special without breaking the bank. For a secret Greece money-saving tip, buy your produce from markets and do some of your own cooking. Greek restaurants can be pricey, so cutting down on small costs like this can help you stick to a budget. If you're traveling to Greece, then don't miss out on the ancient ruins of Athens and avoid the overpriced and overcrowded islands like Santorini and Mykonos. Instead, opt for some of the lesser-known islands like Kefalonia and Paros. One of the many reasons Sri Lanka is so easy to visit is because it's a really small country. This makes it a great place to kick off your adventures if you're new to backpacking. Stay away from the south coast of the country, which is the most touristy, and head to Kandy to take the train to Ella. It's one of Sri Lanka's most beautiful train routes. Over the course of the 6-hour ride, you'll get sweeping views of the lush countryside, tea plantations, and waterfalls. You can discover what makes Sri Lanka so special yourself for about $40 a day. Most people visit Guatemala for its lush ecotourism and wildlife. To get really close to nature, you can hike one of the country's 37 volcanoes or visit Atitlan National Reserve. If you want to dive headfirst into Guatemalan food culture, then don't miss out on any of the fresh markets. There are plenty of cooking classes where you can learn how to prepare traditional meals with the guidance of a local. There really are endless things to discover in this pocket of Central America, and for about $30 a day, you can weave your way through Guatemala's unbeatable landscapes. El Salvador is one country that's always overlooked when it comes to Central American adventures, and it's also another destination that's jam-packed for outdoor lovers. So by visiting national parks, hiking volcanoes, and surfing on the beautiful beaches, it's a great place to soak up the tropics on a budget. Since this place is still a hidden gem, you can get by on about $35 a day, which includes accommodation, food, and transportation. It's also incredibly inexpensive to travel between cities. The average price of an inner-city bus ticket is $2. There also aren't big price differences between the high and low seasons, which makes El Salvador a great place to visit just about any time of year. I hate to break it to you, but you won't find any vampires in Romania, but you will find amazing European budget travel. If you do want to get close to the dark history of Romania, you can visit Bran Castle of Transylvania, known as Dracula's Castle, for only $17. In comparison to other European destinations, Romania is just waiting to be discovered by the budget-conscious traveler. I'd recommend taking advantage of free walking tours in the main cities, or just creating your own. There is so much stunning architecture to be discovered throughout the country that you could spend weeks just roaming the streets. And for just about $30 a day, you can explore one of Europe's best-kept secrets. If you love exploring the underwater world, then it's time to move Belize to the top of your bucket list. One thing that no one can miss is the Great Blue Hole. It's a giant sinkhole where you can snorkel, swim, and dive. And even if you're new to snorkeling and diving, there are plenty of beaches where you can also relax. Belize's affordability is hard to turn down. For about $30 a day, you can have some unforgettable experiences. And with this money, I recommend touring the ancient ruins, seeing iguanas and sea turtles in their natural habitat, and visiting one of the many vibrant markets. The most inexpensive time to soak in this Central American destination is from May to November. Backpacking through Morocco is the cheapest way to experience this slice of Africa, and one of the best places to visit is Marrakesh, but there are so many activities that you can experience here. There's hiking, exploring sand dunes, surfing, and so much architecture to admire. There are so many other amazing cities like Fez and Chefchaouen, the Blue City, but for me, it was hard not to visit Morocco and become completely captivated by the Sahara. This is actually one of my earliest travel backpacking memories. Back in 2016, I took a camel ride out into the middle of the desert and was able to camp with the Bedouins overnight under an amazing night sky filled with stars, and it's something I will truly never forget. And lucky for you, you can explore this small slice of heaven for about $35 a day. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Poland has everything you'll find in Western Europe, but for half the price. So if you've spent any time exploring in Europe, adding Poland to your bucket list is a must. It's so easy to have an authentic local experience in Poland because there are way fewer tourists than most other countries in Europe. To truly get a feel for the country, I recommend taking in the mountainous countryside, soaking in the colorful architecture in Warsaw, and spending time at any and all of the free museums you can. For about $40 a day, Poland is a top destination for experiencing Europe without breaking the bank. Whether you're looking for an adventurous vacation or simply a break on the beach, Costa Rica is the place to be for both. Costa Rica has some of the best national parks and wildlife in the world. It's also an incredible place to experience how coffee is made, to chase waterfalls, hang out in one of the many surf towns, and catch a break from fast-paced life. If you've saved up the cash to splurge every once in a while on your budget trip, using that money to go ziplining through the canopy of the cloud forest will be money well spent. For as little as $45 a day, you can experience what Pura Vida truly means. Malaysia is often used as a stopover point for travelers on their way to other areas of Asia, but I'm here to prove that it's not only another destination that has it all, but it can be done on a budget. From the urban life of Kuala Lumpur to the island life to the many tea plantations scattered throughout the country, there are endless ways to stretch your money in this Asian country. To save as much money as possible, dive into the world of street food. You'll likely be able to enjoy cuisine from Malaysia's surrounding countries which weave their way into the food here. You can expect to spend between $1 to $3 on street food that you can eat during your entire visit. For around $30 a day, you can fall in love with this underrated piece of Asia that you'll likely want to return to again and again. Okay, I know we've talked a lot about underrated countries today, but I have another one for you: Uzbekistan. Surprisingly, one of the highlights of my trip to Tashkent was riding in the metro. You've probably become used to thinking of modes of transportation as nothing special, but not in Central Asia's largest city. Each metro is decked out in different types of architecture and art. For locals, it's almost like commuting in a modern art museum. If you're on the hunt for more jaw-dropping architecture, then don't miss out on one of the oldest cities in Central Asia that's still inhabited, Samarkand. For history buffs, experiencing this piece of the Silk Road in person is way better than any textbook. Because of unique experiences like this, the sand-colored region of Uzbekistan should edge just a little bit higher on your must-see list. For an average price of $40 a day, you can uncover everything this country has in store. Speaking of ancient places, Jordan has to be one of the coolest places to visit if you're interested in exploring ancient ruins and diving into hidden history. With places like Petra's Treasury and the Wadi Rum Desert, it's destinations like Jordan that continue to surprise me, not only with their amazing heritage sites, but also with their prices. For up to $60 a day, you can explore all the hidden features of a country that's coated in history for cheap. And there you have it, my top recommendations for places to see in this world on a backpacker's budget. Let me know in the comments if any of these destinations will make it onto your 2023 bucket list. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video so we can share these top travel destinations with even more people. But until then, let's push our limits.